Well, that's quite all right. But what happened is that essentially, normally your vertebrae have a smooth tops and bottoms, and then of course you have you have the spinal cord that runs through, and then through the spaces between the vertebrae, the spinal cord shoots out nerves, and then that goes throughout your entire body, so that allows your brain to connect to your spinal cord, connects to your nervous system, which then connects to the rest of your body, so that your brain can send information out to the rest of your body to tell you how to move, how to feel, so on and so forth.
Right, okay.
Well, essentially, because of this disease, my vertebrae, instead of being nice and smooth, are jagged and rough.
Oh, wow.
And that means that when they twist, they tear at the nerve fibers. And basically it left me not only, mostly bedridden and unable to move, but it also left me in constant chronic pain.
Wow. So did you use the high performance hypnosis to manage that kind of pain?
Absolutely not.
How did you cope with that, being stuck in bed?
Well, I laid there for quite a while.
Right.
And see, the problem is that of course I knew. By that time, I was a very accomplished hypnotist.
Right, already.
And I already knew, I'd studied Erickson's work for years.
And very accomplished NLPer as well.
Yes,
I might
and
add.
I was working professionally as an NLPer certainly.
Yeah.
But one of the things that happened to me at that time was, let's look for example, I'm a voracious reader. I love to read. And
Michael is the encyclopedia, walking encyclopedia of NLP, hypnosis, probably a bit of neuroscience, and a lot of other things as well.
I do enjoy.
He knows the field so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very well.
And essentially, they'd prop a book in front of me so that I could read it, and I would. By the time that I started on the first line, I would get to the end of the line. And realize I might as well start over because I'd already forgotten it.
Oh no, how frustrating for you.
Because it's one of those things, I don't know if you've ever pulled a muscle in your back or something.
Yes.
But if you might have to contort for quite a while, but you'll find this one position where it doesn't hurt.
Right.
Well, it's like that, except there's no position where it didn't hurt.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Wow.
The pain just kept going.
Yeah.
And it was constant, and it was excruciating, and it was just really problematic. Because I couldn't do anything. And I couldn't concentrate enough to use the techniques that I knew to go into a traditional trance.
Oh, gosh. I mean, because that must have been so frustrating with all the information that you have within you.
Yeah.
Not being able to focus enough because of the pain.
Yeah.
That you can't even get to access your information.
It was not something that I was enjoying.
Yeah.
But,
So how'd you get through it?
Well, over the course of time.
Yeah.
Essentially, the one thing that just occurred to me was that, because this is a degenerative condition. It's not treatable. It only ever gets worse.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, I said, well, self, said I, it's very important that I do something about this, because if I don't do anything, no one else is going to be able to do anything for me.
Right.
And I also thought back to Milton Erickson, because Erickson was in a similar situation where after his first bout with polio, he was left bedridden. He was in a position where he couldn't really do anything. And so, in fact, at the time, he was there. There was this one very quick story I'll tell you. Erickson was there on a rocking chair because essentially his mother had to take care of him, and she had just had a brand new baby. He was like the 9th child at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And so in order to watch both of them, she would, and imagine this frontier woman living out on the plains, she would carry him down, 17-year-old boy, and then she would tie him to a rocking chair in the kitchen.
Wow.
Because if she didn't tie him, he would just fall out. He was, he was limp because he was paralyzed. He was limp like a sack of flour. And then she had her newest baby, so she would tie him to the rocking chair, and then she would let the baby play where he could see the baby, so that if the baby were doing anything that was going to be dangerous, that way
you could yell.
He could yell, absolutely. So that was the baby alarm. ancient equivalent of the baby alarm.
Fantastic.
And
good system though. Trying to make it work, you've got to.
Well, I mean, as much as we talk about Milton Erickson, I think I have so much respect for his mother.
Yeah.
That woman was an amazing woman for all the things that she did.
How can we find out more about Milton Erickson's mother?
Well, to tell you the truth, there's only kind of ancillary bits and pieces.
Bits,
and as you read, as you read biographies of Erickson, you'll hear her mentioned. But she seems to me to be a remarkable woman, or to have been.
Great strength.
Yes.
And courage. Yeah.
And so what happened is that one day Milton was sitting there, and he was thinking to himself, he was just sitting there with his eyes closed, and he said, one of the things that I really enjoyed was I really enjoyed those times when I could allow myself to sit in that rocking chair and rock, and I really appreciated the movement and the motion of it, because I love the way that it would feel when you just feel that very slight, subtle shift going back and forth, and the rhythm of it.
It does feel good,
and the way it was gently soothing, and he opened his eyes and realized that the chair was rocking back and forth, and he said, I must be doing that.
Wow.
And so that's when he began to realize that at a deep unconscious level, he must still be able to move. He just didn't know how to move now.
It's fantastic.
So to wrap up the story.
So what a huge breakthrough in his discovery.
Well, that was not, Erickson, before he ever learned anything much conventionally about hypnosis, he was always a remarkable boy. He had these incredible powers of concentration. He was what we would call dyslexic, and he wasn't able to read until, rather later than the other children, because he suddenly just had a flash.
Yeah.
And he realized, suddenly that, he made sense of letters. So his teacher told him, she said, well, it's very important that you develop a good vocabulary.
Yeah.
And so every time that you hear a word that you don't know, you must look it up in the dictionary.
Yeah, because you've got a very extensive vocabulary. I often have to ask you, what does that mean, Michael?
Yeah. But that's just because I make words up. That's why.
Oh, no.
See, because I find, I'm a connoisseur of gibberish.
You're very clever.
And
I love it.
Too many years of watching Star Trek, I think. So what finally wound up happening was that Erickson because he didn't learn the alphabet at the same time that the other kids did, he didn't realize the concept of alphabetical order.
Okay.
Now, so the end result is he thought that a dictionary was just a book of words that you had to read until you hit the word that you were looking for. So every time he went to go...
Interesting, isn't it?
Every time he went to go look at a word, he would start at A. And he'd start reading until eventually he hit the word.
Because I really do find, actually, if you look at a dictionary or even an encyclopedia, just for the fun of it, not because you're really searching for a word and you need to know, we have word and things now, we don't need to do that. But it really is good reading. So if you're looking at a dictionary or an encyclopedia or something like that, just for the actual pleasure of the words.
Yeah, certainly an encyclopedia, probably more than a dictionary.
Yeah. Words are interesting as well, I think, anyway.
Oh, I think they are too. Yeah. But the thing is that you can imagine that he did this from, for many years.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining now.
Reading the dictionary over and over again until finally one day, I think he was in his mid-teens, and he just suddenly, he said that he looked at the dictionary and there's a flash of light.
Wow.
And he suddenly realized that it was an alphabetical order. Now, this is Erickson for you. He said, in that moment, I thanked my unconscious mind for withholding that information from me all this time so that I could read that dictionary over and over again in order to know so much more than any of the other kids around me.
That's a great read, and that's the truth. Yeah.
And so Erickson already had this kind of very intense